Okie dokie, let's try this again, yeah? So, we are back doing our lives, so sorry about that. Sorry for the brief intermission. I tried going somewhere with my stack of books here, and that was just not the vibe. It was like, the connection was not working for me. Wi-Fi was like not working. So we are back at the office, aka back home. So that's where I'm doing this live from, okay? So if you see on the title, we're gonna be talking about books today. I always do like a little books poll or like subject for my live that I want to do. And books never gets the love I feel like it needs. So I'm going to take the responsibility for everyone that voted for books on these polls for the live subjects. We're going to do that today, okay? So if you're new here, let me know what your name is. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And tell me something good that's going on in your life right now, because I want to celebrate you guys, okay? And let me know if this is like better, it's clearer. Can you hear me okay? Is it better than we were last time, like in a minute ago? And we'll get going, okay? So I will start it off. My name is Connor, if you don't know. My name is Connor. I'm from Pittsburgh. And something really good that's going on in my life right now is that I'm getting baptized at my church. It's actually at the beach this Sunday, okay? So that's something really good that's going on in my life. Let me know what your name is. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And something really, really, really good going on in your life right now, okay? And then we'll get going with some of these books, okay? All right, so we have got Martin from Los Angeles. What's going on, Martin? We got Eli. I'm on TikTok 100%. We got Raylene from Beeville, Texas. Perfect. You can hear me clearly. Love that. We love that. We got Coco in the house. Perfect timing. We were just looking for a new read. How ironic. Love that. We love that. Amen, Coco. Praise Jesus. 100%. All right. Who else do we have here? All right. Melanie from Florida. We got Natalie from Pittsburgh. What is going on, Natalie? We've got Vallejo. I hope I'm saying that right. From Vallejo, Cali. Getting a doctoral degree. Okay. All right. Very cool. We got Melanie from Florida. We got Daniel from OCCCCCCCC. Love that. Being consistent, working out. We love that, Daniel. We got Miami in the house. Carrie from SoCal. All right, close by. We got Lex. He's from Virginia. And her crush likes her back. Okay, Lex. All right, we're making moves now. Okay. We got Raymond from Houston, TGIF. Heck yeah, Raymond. We got North Carolina in the house. I was just there. We got Kyle, who's tuning in from the great state of Alabama. Okay. Kyle from Alabama. We love that. We got Courtney from Philly. She's looking forward to her upcoming surgery for weight loss. Okay, Courtney. All right. Good luck. I hope everything goes well. We got Arkansas in the house. Andy from South Africa. We got Texas. Monica from Texas. I'm happy you're here, Monica. Danielle from Las Vegas. She just got a library card the other day. Okay, hopefully I can help you out a little bit with some of these books that I have been reading over the past year or so. Okay, we got San Diego in the house. We got Nafisa from Somalia. Okay, I don't think we've ever had someone from there tune in before, so I'm glad you're here. We're covering the map. Raymond from Houston. TGF, starting my 20th year as a high school principal. Okay, holy crap, 2 decades. That's awesome. Congrats, Raymond. Miami in the house. Chicago in the house, Ontario, Canada. All right, I feel like New York. Who else do we have in the house? All right, I feel like we covered them all, okay, for the most part. Isam from Algeria. Okay, cool. All right, so Cambridge, England. All right, we're going to get going here. We're back doing our weekly lives every single Friday, 3 p.m. PST. A little bit delayed this time, so apologies about that. But we're going to talk about books today, okay? So we're going to be testing my reading comprehension that I've read. These are going to be like the 25 books that I've read over the past year or so that hopefully I can help you guys and kind of just chunk it down into literal like 30-second summaries and tell you like what I took away from them, and maybe you guys can like check them out if you want to, okay? All right, so that's a little intro that I would just like to do for 5 minutes, and let's get going, okay? They're off to the side here. I will bring them in picture so you can see all of them. They were in picture before, but they like, oh shit. Yeah, they're gonna like fall if I keep them here. So Yeah. So these are going to be all the books we're going to be talking about today. I don't know. Should I keep them here or should I like do them off camera? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. They're like, I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep them here so you can like see like the little bit of them. All right. So let's do this. Yeah. So these are the 25 books that I have read over the past year that I'm going to like give you like my 2 cents on, and like what I took away from them. Okay. So yeah. And so basically they're stacked from like newest to oldest because I just like throw them on top after I'm done reading them. Okay. So I literally might have to go from like the most recent ones to the like oldest ones that I've read because that's how they're stacked. And if I take them from the bottom, they're just going to fall on me. So that's like what we're going to do. Okay. All right. So the top one is the most important one is the Bible. Okay. So I guess it's like technically not officially a book that I've read through the whole thing, but this thing is the granddaddy of them all. I'm like working my way through it. Okay. Like I haven't read this whole thing, but it's got a lot of super freaking good stuff in it. And, I'm trying to like memorize different, verses and different, chapters and things like that for the best that I can. So yeah. This is the New International Version, NIV Holy Bible that I read from. There's like a bunch of different versions you could read from, but this is my buddy. This is like, it's got like everything in here that I literally need for me to live a faithful life. And God's word is number one. So yeah, I haven't technically finished that, but it's just on the top of my thing because it's just always going to be on the top. It's going to be always on the top of the mountain, okay? All right, this next one is something that I am currently reading right now. It is called The Untethered Soul, okay? So this is called The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself, and it is written by Michael A. Singer. And so I'm about a third of the way done with this. I just started reading this week, and this reminds me a lot about a book that I'll talk about a little bit later called The Power of Now. So this book is it's pretty far out there. Let's just say that. Like it talks a lot about, but I love that. Like I love that about it. And it talks about your soul, obviously. It talks about, your consciousness detaching from certain things, like observing yourself, asking yourself, like, detaching yourself from I don't really know how to describe it. I'm like very new to it. I'm very like new to reading it, but I really, really enjoy it. I've been really, really enjoying it lately. I've been posting some of the passages. On my story. And if you want to like check out like all the stacks, I don't think I can like put this on the screen, this whole stack, because it's gonna like cover up this whole like screen. But if you want to go to my story and just like screenshot it, like those are gonna be all the books I'm gonna be talking about. Okay, so just to wrap this one up, this is really great. I love it so far. It's it talks about energy, manifesting things, and it's cool so far. I'm enjoying it. So it reminds me a lot of The Power of Now. I can't really give a really good summary of it because I'm like not the whole way through with it yet, but I really like it and I would highly recommend it to anyone that's like into that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. So that's book number 2. 1 was the Bible. 2 was The Untethered Soul by, 1 was the Bible by God. Or I guess not, technically by God, but there's like all these different other authors in it. But second one is The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Number 3, I finished this last week. It's called The Power of One More by Ed Mylett. And so, yes, I love this one. And if you just want to like exit the live and like screenshot my story, like you can probably check that out. All the books, okay? So, love this one. I really, 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 really love this one. I've been listening to Ed Mylett for I probably found him about a year ago. So, really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the very last couple chapters about it, but essentially what this one is about is he talks a lot about his father and how his father overcame alcoholism and how his father overcame like being an alcoholic over time. And he kind of talks a little bit, he dives into that a little bit more towards the end of the book. And I really resonated with me because it was very, I felt like it was like very parallel to like my life, like growing up and to this day and everything like that. So this book is about doing one more in all areas of your life, like doing just one more thing of whatever dimension of your life that you want to become better at, if you will. So he talks a lot about how his dad overcame being an alcoholic, and he asked his dad, he's like, "Dad, how did you overcome alcoholism?" And his dad was like, "Son, like I overcame it by being sober just one day more at a time." Okay, and I think that's generally like the sense of like how his father like overcame being an alcoholic. It wasn't like I need to string together like a lifetime of like not of being sober. It's I'm gonna get sober. You know, I'm gonna get sober by being sober one day at a time, like one day more at a time, right? So, really great lessons in this book. You know, there's like the power of one more prayer. There's the power of one more, like a bunch of different things, like, you know, identity, emotion, dream, one more goal, and things like that. So, really enjoyed this book. And this probably I don't know. I feel like lately, like whatever the most recent book I'm reading, it's like top 5 book, top 10 book. Like I don't really like read entire books, and it's not like the best, you know. So Powerful More by Mylett, really good book. That's number 3. And so number 4 is Extreme Ownership by Jocko, Willink, and Leif Babin. So I finished this a couple weeks ago, and this book is all about taking accountability in every part of your life. So in a nutshell, that's what this book's about. It talks a lot about taking accountability in business, how to lead, leadership in business. It talks about leadership just in your life and leading everyone around you. So when they look to you, you know, you take responsibility of people that are underneath you or people that are observing you and saying, okay, I'm going to take ownership of, you know, their career development or their progress in their life, and saying like, I can't help other people if I'm not growing myself. And so like, I need to take accountability of that. I need to take personal responsibility of that, and thinking that anyone who's looking to me for leadership, that I need to take ownership of their progress and their personal development and their growth. You know, it talks a lot about in like business and stuff, but Jocko and Leif talk a lot about their experience when it came to being in the military and being SEALs. So that's what they talk a lot about in this, and then they apply it to a lot of like business and like just real life kind of things. So accountability, taking extreme ownership of your life and the people that look to you for leadership as well. Great book. All right, that is number 4. Number 5 is Single, Dating, Engaged, Married. I finished this probably last month. This is by he's a pastor, his name's Ben Stuart. So really loved this one. Very different from Extreme Ownership, but this one talked about what to look for in different phases of your romantic, intimate love life, okay? So with an underlying foundation of faith, okay? So really like this one. I am in the single phase of my life right now, so I really enjoyed the part about, you know, there's like each phase of your romantic life has like devoted for like a single you know, generally a single purpose, right? And so being single, you know, my purpose right now is pursuing God, and you know, when you do that, then you'll find other people that are running alongside you pursuing God with your faith, and then maybe you end up liking one of those people, and then, you know, you start to be a little bit more romantic with them, and then you get to the engaged phase of it all. You know, and there's different, you know, pursuits that you think about when you're in that phase, and then you get to, I meant to say dating, and then you get to engage, and then you get to marry. So there's different like devotional things that you're supposed to be devoted to, you know, with these different phases when it comes to like living a faith-based life. So that's what this one's about. I really enjoyed it. Again, this is by Ben Stuart. I listened to his podcast. It's called like Passion City Church podcast. So it's in DC, and I really like this book. I took a lot from it. So that was book number 5. Yeah. All right. So now book number 6 is Mastery by Robert Greene. And so I was on a little Robert Greene kick after I read the 48 Laws of Power. So these are like my Robert Greene books right here. I guess like in this order. So I read 48 Laws of Power, I read The Art of Seduction, and then I read Mastery. So yeah, I was on like a Robert Greene kick. So I read these 3 books like all back to back to back. So Mastery is all about so there's different, he talks about there's different phases when it comes to okay, I guess it probably makes sense to explain it this way. So we all have this like gift that's within us. Like we're just trying to discover that, right? It's like a gift God placed within our lives that a lot of the times there are things that hide it from us, and we're all kind of like just figuring out how to like uncover that. Okay, so I guess that's the premise of this book, and you go through these different phases. So there is, if I remember correctly, there is a apprentice phase, I believe. So there's a phase of, you know, apprenticeship. A life task is what he calls it. We all have this life task inside of us for our lives that like we're put on this earth to like pursue, right? So there's different phases to this as we kind of work our way up to being a master or like becoming masters at this life task. Okay, so that's the purpose of this book. You have the apprenticeship phase. I know that was one of them, and then there's like a middle one, I think. Okay, I guess it really was apprenticeship phase. You have your apprenticeship phase, you have the mastery phase, and then you have a mentorship phase. So your apprenticeship phase is like really like discovering your life's task. Mastery is kind of like fine-tuning that in your purpose, and the mentorship phase is, I'm now a master at this life's task. I'm a master at this craft. I'm a master at this craft. Now let me go mentor someone else to become a master at this life's, my life's work, my life's task. Okay. So this was interesting. I would probably say it's like 3 out of 3. Like it's my 3rd favorite of Robert Greene's books, but it was pretty good. So book number 6 is The Art of Seduction. So this one was honestly pretty lovely. It was teaching me how to be seductive and seduce when it comes to not just like in your love life and your romantic life, but it talks about any kind of relationships. So if I remember correctly, he lays out like 10 different types of seductive types, right? So there's I'm trying to remember which ones there were. But this was like an interesting book. I'll have to read you the types of seductive types because they're very interesting. And then he kind of gave like historical figures who were this type of seducer, if you will, right? So let's see. I want to read these off to you before I kind of finish this because this was interesting. So we got we've got the siren. So there's like these are seductive characters, if you want to think of it like that, okay? We got the siren, we've got the rake, we have the ideal lover, we have the dandy, the natural, the coquette, the charmer, the charismatic, the star, and the anti-seducer, okay? So he kind of talks a little bit about those different types in here, and he gives like really good examples, like historical figure examples of who these types of people were. You can kind of like, you can kind of get a sense of like what kind of seductive type you are when you're reading it. And I feel like I was a pretty like mix of like all of them. Like I don't really know. I think maybe like personally I was probably a little bit more the probably either the rake or the ideal lover, I would probably say. Between like all these, like I guess like some of them are a little bit more catered to men and some of them are a little bit more catered to women. Like sirens are like think about who would be a good example of a siren? Like Marilyn Monroe or something like that would be a siren. And then there's all these other examples for this. But Art of Seduction was pretty good. Really like this. It was definitely different from like what I typically would read. So really like this one. That's probably my second favorite of Robert Greene's books. I've only read 3, but this is my favorite. So book number 8. This is book number 8, which is the 48 Laws of Power. This book, man, when I read this book, this book, just so you know, is banned in prisons, I think. If I remember correctly, when I was doing some research on it, like if you're in jail, like you can't read this book. I probably may be wrong, but this book is freaking so impressive, I have to say. Like honestly, of all the books I've read in the past year, this one made me think, I would say probably one of the most, besides like the Untethered Soul, because that has my mind like going somewhere else. But this book, I read this book at a time in my life where I was killing it with like my business, and I was growing my coaching business, online coaching business. And this book I feel like has a lot to do with it. And it's a lot about, it's all these power tactics when it comes to like how you kind of use power in different ways, right? And it's a lot of the times they're unorthodox ways of using power. And so it's, ways that you can use it, ways that you can identify it with other people, and things like that. So there are 48 different laws that he talks about. I'll just give you a few of them because why not? So basically, like law number 1 is never outshine the master. Number 2, or let me just give you some of my favorite ones. Always say less than necessary. So much depends on your reputation. Guard it with your life. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Let's see, what else is in here? Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Let's see, what else is in here? Enter action with boldness. I started like posting these on my story like when I read them too. I like that. Master the art of timing. Let me see here if there's any other ones. There's something about like don't rush or something. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. I think it was master the art of timing, I think. Yeah. I think that's never appear too perfect. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Yeah. But this was like, this book made me think a lot. And yeah, this is my favorite book by Robert Greene, 100%. So I highly could not recommend. Out of the books I've talked about right now, aside from the Bible, obviously, this would probably be the number 1 book that I recommend. So 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, Art of Seduction, and Mastery by Robert Greene are the 3 that I've read by him. Super great books. Favorite one was probably 48 Laws of Power. Next was probably Art of Seduction, and then the third one was probably Mastery. So he's got some other ones like The Laws of Human Nature. He's got, he wrote a book with 50 Cent called The 50th Law, I think. But I haven't read those yet. So those are really good. So what are we at? We're at book number 9. So book number 9 is 75 Hard. I read this book at the beginning of this year, and I did this. So 75 Hard is a challenge. It's kind of like a fitness challenge program kind of thing, if you want to think of it like that. I did this. It's basically you have to do 5 or 6 different things for 75 straight days, without compromise. And if you don't do that, then you have to start over at day one, okay? So that's what this book is about. It's really detailing. It's 75 Hard by Andy Frisella. Andy Frisella is a freaking beast. He has a podcast I listen to called Real AF. He's super successful. He owns a supplement company called First Form, and I just respect this dude so much. So I was like, I need to do his program, I need to do his challenge, I need to read his book. So, super great book. It just details how to do the program, how he advises to do the program. So it's 75 days of doing 5 or 6 things. It is number 1, drinking a gallon of water. Number 2, reading 10 pages a day. Number 3, no alcohol or cheat meals. Number 4 is taking a progress picture. Number 5 is sticking to a diet. Number 6 is 2 45-minute workouts, one of them being outdoors. So that is what 75 Hard is, and this book kind of details like how to do that program, okay? So that book changed my life. That program changed my life, and I do things from that program. To this day, I still do things like on the daily based upon the principles that I learned like from this book and this whole program, okay? So I think that's 9 books. Yep, book number 10. So I don't have one of the books here because I like lent it back, or I was lent that book, so I gave it back to who was lending it to me. But this book is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, and Brené Brown is a boss, I have to say. So I read, the one I don't have is called Dare to Lead. So very similar to Daring Greatly. Dare to Lead and Daring Greatly are very similar. Like leadership books, you know. What I liked about how Brené Brown writes is she's very relatable, I would say. You know, she talks like about imposter syndrome when you step into leadership positions. You know, thinking that you're not qualified to be doing certain things whenever like you step into these leadership positions because like you've never done them before, obviously. And yeah, really, really great book. It's you know, it opens up about like being like more vulnerable, like that inspires leadership, you know, inspires other people, like the more vulnerable you are, showing people that you're not perfect. You know, people relate to that and people trust you more when you're vulnerable like that. So that's really like what this is about. And she talks about how to like parent. She talks about relationships, leading businesses and things like that. So really, really like this book, and that's very similar to Dare to Lead that she also wrote too. So Daring Greatly by Brené Brown is book number 10. So book number 11 is Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. I read this towards the end of last year. So this book was pretty life-changing for me too. It may seem kind of just like surface level when you think about like 12 Rules for Life, like, you know, but he really dives deep into each rule, and he talks a lot about, he steers you in a weird direction that like you do not foresee with each role, which I loved about this book. And some books like I can kind of just like fly through, but this one like really, really made me think. You know, Jordan Peterson's a pretty controversial figure, I would say, but I really, really enjoy him. Like I really, really love his insights and thoughts. So this book was phenomenal. I'll just go through the 12 rules for you real quick, and I'll give you like my favorites when I was reading them. So rule number 1 is stand up straight with your shoulders back. Rule number 2, treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. Rule number 3, make friends with people who want the best for you. Rule 4, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Rule number 5, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Rule number 6, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Rule number 7, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Rule number 8, tell the truth or at least don't lie. Rule 9, assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't. I loved that one. Rule number 10, be precise in your speech. Rule 11, do not bother children when they're skateboarding. And the last rule, rule 12, pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. Okay? So my favorite rules were definitely, I liked the listening one. So rule number 9 was assume that the person you are listening to might know something that you don't. that helped me with like taking the attention, when I'm like speaking to someone, especially someone new. Like half the time when you would like get introduced to someone, like you don't even really know, like they tell you their name and you're like, I don't even remember what your name was because I was like trying to think about like what I was going to say back to you every time, right? So really like that rule. I really liked compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Like, comparison, talking a little bit more about that. And then also treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. Rule number 2. I really enjoyed that one too. So talking about self-love, but he like super dives into these like in a direction that you wouldn't even like expect. So Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, super digged this book too. Okay, so I think that's 12 or 11. All right, next one is Atomic Habits. I feel like this is a classic book for so many people, but take care of yourself like someone you're responsible for is so important. 100%. Yeah, totally agree with you. I feel like Atomic Habits is like a book that like everyone has read by James Clear. I actually read this a second time last year because I wanted to. So this talks about like how you can kind of form habits. How do I want to put this? So yeah, I guess overall it talks about like if you want to change your life, it depends on what your habits are, right? And you can literally have the tiniest amount of habits that make the biggest amount of change in your entire life. And that's why it's called Atomic Habits, right? So there's different ways of creating habits. You can have cues to kind of initiate certain habits. It takes, a certain amount of time for you to have these habits. Then they sort of become autopilot for you. And then you can kind of like habit stack and create new habits like that are healthier for you. So I really enjoyed reading this book, and it talks about like breaking bad habits that you have, not only like instilling like good habits that you want to have in your life, but it talks about breaking like some of the bad ones that you don't want to have. So this was a really great book by James Clear. So this is like one of the first ones I read like when I got into reading, so I really enjoyed this. All right, so that's book number 12. We're getting into Joe Dispenza books now, so this might get a little trippy, but bear with me here. So let me see here. These are the 3 books last year that I read from Joe Dispenza that were super, like, I think this, I don't know, like, if you know Joe Dispenza, his work is some of the, I think probably this was probably the crucial point when it came to my reading that I could like noticeably tell how much I was like growing from my reading. Okay, so I guess I'll sort of probably work backwards, but the order in which you would probably want to read these books is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and then you'd probably want to read You're the Placebo, and then lastly you would want to read Becoming Supernatural. Okay, so I will talk about it in that order because they're all kind of the same. I probably can just talk about all three of these books, but Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is probably the biggest one that I would recommend for anyone else if they're looking into wanting to read Joe Dispenza a little bit more. He talks about a lot of the times we're just operating out of like habitual things and traumas that have affected us in our past. And he talks a lot about like stepping into our kind of future version of ourselves. He talks, it's very sciencey, very science-based, all three of these books, which I loved. And, he has meditations that I would do all the time last year. I can't speak highly, from these three books. These changed my whole life. Like, I swear to God. So yeah, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, You're the Placebo. I'll tell you a little bit about You're the Placebo. He cites some like scientific studies that people that sometimes when they're doing some of these studies, I guess they have like people that are on placebo drugs, right? And some of the times the people that are on placebo actually heal better than people that are on the actual drug. So he kind of cites that in this book, and that's why it's titled that. But he talks about like, a lot of the things if you want to heal from traumas, if you want to heal from physical, all right, we're back. If you want to heal from physical things that have happened, then, kind of all starts in your mind, right? So he's like, you have to sort of like place yourself in a position of, I'm in a body that is like a healthy body. I'm in a body that is already healed from any like past experiences or past traumas or anything like that. So it's all about like stepping into your future self and believing like you're sort of already there. It's kind of like far out there, but you kind of have to stick with it. Becoming Supernatural is like sort of the culmination of like these two books. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself and You're the Placebo. This is pretty sick because he gets more into like meditations. He talks about like your pituitary gland, I think, in your brain. It's like this like knob, like very, very, very small, like knob shaped, pea shaped looking thing in your brain. I probably miss like conveying that, but this is a great book overall. It probably like wraps up like these two like all in one too. So very similar like subjects when it comes to these ones, but I enjoyed all three of these. Okay, so that would be books number, I think it's 13, 14, and 15. 13, 14, yep. All right, so now we're getting into some love books a little bit. This is book number 16, which is Attached. This is Attached, the New Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find and Keep Love. So this one is by Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. So this one talks about different attachment styles that we all have. So it talks about your relationships with, talks about your intimate relationships, right? And so we all have, we all can kind of transition from different attachment styles, but it all depends on sort of how we received like love and attention and care from when we were like a baby. So it kind of talks about the study of babies whenever their mother would leave, and so some babies would cry, and that would be like a secure attachment style when their mom left. Some babies would like not cry, not care, and that's basically like an avoidant attachment style. And then some babies would do something else, and it would be called an insecure attachment style. So those are the three attachment styles. You can either have a secure attachment style, you can have an insecure attachment style, you can have avoidant and avoidant attachment style. So basically talks about these different dynamics when it comes to relationships. So you can have someone that is super insecure when you're dating someone, and they like think it's the end of the world if you're not texting them or showing them love or things like that. It's probably because they have an insecure attachment style. If they're like okay with just being like doing their things and not being super attached all the time, and they're kind of like fine with not always being super lovey-dovey and stuff like that, maybe they have an avoidant attachment style. Maybe they're doing that because they like got hurt before in their love life or something like that. And then you have most people that have secure. I guess it would be like split like third. It's like everyone. It's like pretty much even, I would say. People that have secure attachment styles, which are basically like it's kind of what you would expect and self-explanatory. It's just that they're secure in their relationships. They're not like freaking out if their partner is like not showing them love or attention. They're like very logical, I guess I'll put it in that way. Excuse me. So there's different, chapters of it. Towards the end, it talks about people. Ideally, you get a secure attachment style with a secure attachment style. Like that's like a beautiful relationship. Sometimes you get a secure and insecure, and sometimes the person that is secure can sort of allow the insecure person to get a little bit more secure. Sometimes you have an avoidant insecure relationship. That's the worst. You don't want that. That's called the insecure avoidant trap, basically, because the person that's insecure just gets more insecure from the person that's avoidant, and the person that's avoidant just gets more avoidant from the person that's insecure. So that's really what this book is about. It talks about attachment styles. If you're more interested in reading, up on that, I highly recommend this book. So that was 16. We're on 17. We're on Eckhart Tolle now. These books, life-changing, 100,000%, really remind me of the Untethered Soul. So I really, really recommend these ones. I read The Power of Now. I read this for a second or third time last year. And New Earth a second or third time last year. And there's something about these books that are just magical. Like I literally swear. Very similar to The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. They talk about they're sort of like meditations, and very like consciousness and things like that. It talks about ego. And so The Power of Now talks about like, the now is the only thing that ever exists. Like the past isn't really existing. The future isn't really existing. You just live your life each moment at a time, basically. So that's what this is about. A New Earth is the sequel to this one. So if this one talks a little bit about like people, becoming more conscious and becoming like more, things like that, and just kind of like helping other people become that a little bit more and like mentoring them to that point, really. So that's what these are about. I love these books. I love like what they're about and their teachings. So yeah, really, really recommend them. So that is Eckhart Tolle for you. We're getting into Gary V books now. This is more business. Let me see. I think I have 3 books by him. No, I have 2. So these are Gary V books, Crush It and Crushing It. So these are like what helped me with social media when it comes to business. So these books, helped me with growing my social media and just killing it. And this one's called Why Now is the Time to Crush It, Cash It on Your Passion. This one is called Crush It, How Great Entrepreneurs Build Their Business and Influence and How You Can Too. So these books really helped me with like stepping away from my corporate accounting job. Well, it wasn't corporate, it was public accounting job. So reading these books super helped me with like that transition phase of like how I decided to just like go all in on social media and go all in on fitness, basically. So super recommend Gary V if you haven't heard of him. He's like super big on social media. So love these books. Crush It, Crushing It. They just talk about how people are like using these to like kill it and live a more free life. Okay, so I think that was book number, oh shit, it's gonna fall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. All right, we are on books. This is just a quick one. My mom sent this to me, so I was like, all right, I'll read it. This is called If It's Not Right, Go Left. It was like a very, very short read. I read this like in a day, basically. So this is by Kristen Glosserman. Just about like following your passion, choosing what makes you happy and things like that, and just like working hard for a better life. Okay, so this was great. My mom sent me this, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna crush. I'm gonna read this super quick. So this is a great one too. That was book number 21 or 22, and then the last 3 books are, maybe I'll just do it this way. So these 2 books are by Tim Grover, and I feel like these are you have to be like a certain breed, I feel like, of a person to like connect with, I think, these books, which I certainly am. So the first one is Relentless, the second one is Winning, by Tim Grover, and he just talks about how like the best of the best. So Tim Grover used to be a trainer for Michael Jordan. He used to be a trainer for Kobe Bryant, and I think Dwayne Wade as well in the NBA. And he talks about how like you have different types of people. You have, you have, gosh, what does he talk about? I think he talks about, there's like different types of people. It's either in Relentless or Winning. I think it's probably in Winning. No, it's in Relentless. Maybe it's actually in Winning. So yeah, he talks about having like, there's like 3 types of people basically. Yeah, he talks about how, I don't know why that cover was messed up, but let me see here. No, maybe it is in Relentless. You could either be like a cleaner, a closer, a cleaner, and then there's a third one I can't remember, but those I really loved like reading his thoughts on things like that. It kind of gave me permission to just freaking say like, screw it, I'm gonna like go all in on my life and just like say, I'm maybe not the most athletic person in the world. I'm not going to like kill it in sports, but like I can kill it in my dimension, in my niche, and be like the best and be like the cleaner of, of my like profession, of my career. So Tim Grover is the GOAT, and these are really great books. So last but not least, we got Goggins. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. This book is a classic. David Goggins, I actually met him and got this book signed by him. When I did this little race that he did out here. He does this like 4x4x48 challenge where you run like 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours basically. So I got him to sign this whenever he was out here in LA. And so met him, got a couple pictures, and this book was probably life-changing when it came to like saying, okay, like I'm going to go run a marathon. I'm going to go compete in a physique competition. I'm going to go do a powerlifting meet. I'm going to do a half Ironman later this year. And like, dude, like there's nothing that can limit me or like just open my mindset up to just physical accomplishments, which then led to like other success in different areas of my life that like I'm enjoying to this day, because this man's a beast, and he talks about how he does like ultra marathons. He did Hell Week for the U.S. Navy SEALs 3 times, and he eventually did it. And this book is awesome. So I'm trying to read his next book, which is called Never Finished. So that's like on my list. But yeah, those were my 25 books that changed my life over the past years. So I don't know if there's anyone that like stuck with me this whole time, but I'm glad that you just like watched this, and hopefully that helped a little bit. Hopefully I satisfied the people that wanted to see the book options here. And I will see you guys around this time next week with a different topic, okay? All right, I love you guys. Have a safe Friday night and safe weekend, and I'll see you soon, okay? Peace.